Welcome back to the class. Today we are going to discuss about Wechsler's intelligence scale. Wechsler's intelligence scale we are discussing in the context of history of intelligence testing. Okay, so you have to remember about Binet and development from Binet to the Simon Binet test to Stanford Binet test, like that. That historically, when you look at the intelligence testing, you will find the Wechsler test as one of the breakthrough in the intelligence test. I would say this is the most frequently used intelligence test in the world. Even in India, we have a version of Wechsler intelligence test, um, Indian edition. So that is very commonly used, in fact. So the hero, the person who developed this test is Wechsler, David Wechsler. He was working in Bellevue hospital, so he developed a test there while he was working with his clients. He believed that the Simon Binet test, which was the 1937 version, so this test was very popular at that time. So he believed that the test is not a really good test to measure intelligence. He found a lot of criticism for that, and some of them are basically he was in a position, a belief that the Binet test is not actually addressing the non-intellective factors like confidence, fear of failure, attitude of the person. These things are not covered in the not addressed in the Binet test. That's one of the major argument that he had. And he was not a fan of this single score, though he used the total IQ, the complete IQ score of a person, but he believed that there would be multiple facets for an IQ. He used performance intelligence, verbal intelligence, performance intelligence, different subsets, different indices in his test. But the Binet score was basically a single score method. Especially grade age based intelligence scoring system, but he thought that that's not a good idea. I shouldn't be using that particular idea. And one of the major criticism that it was not valid for adult. So this is where Wechsler has contributed more to the field of intelligence, that which is he developed a test ways, which is Wechsler adult intelligence scale. I think that is the most frequently used test. Another thing that we have to remember is the definition. He with the client's experience and the definition that he made for intelligence, that intelligence is a global capacity of a person to act purposefully, to think rationally, and deal effectively with his environment. So this is a base on which he actually developed his test, and the test was the first test was 1939, which is known as Wechsler-Believe intelligence test. So this particular test, this is not actually a Wechsler test. This is considered the first test he developed while he was working in the hospital. Um, what are the differences he proposed in the Wechsler intelligence scale? Not all contributions are made in a single scale. Different versions, different point of time they have added. He started with the point scale, not the age-based scale. He said point scale would be much appropriate. He also included non-verbal test. Binet test was majorly verbal, like emphasized. A lot of language-related restrictions were there, instructions were there. So these things were addressed in non-verbal tests. We now call these things are performance tests, subsets like that. And he included a scoring system which is based on a normal distribution deviation IQ. So he used 100 as the mean and 15 as a standard deviation, and pushed every data to this 15 standard deviation and mean to 100 as a pattern, and he converted them to a normal distribution. So even if you find a score like 30, 40, 50, I'm sorry, 80, 90, 100, that is not the original score. That will be a converted score. We still use this normally distributed pattern of intelligence. So this is the guy who started this work. So some of the contributions that he made is really amazing, and we still follow that pattern. Now, which are the major tests he has developed? One is Wechsler preschool and primary scale of intelligence. WIPPSI. So the age range is 2 years and 3 months. It's 2 years and 3 months. To 7 years and 7 months. So in this period, this age group, so this will be an appropriate test as per his perspective. And another test was WISC, which is this is very famous test, which is well known test, and the age range is 6 years to 16 years. And this is the most famous test, most famous intelligence test, not only his, compared to all other intelligence tests in the world, this is the most famous intelligence test, WAIS, Wechsler adult intelligence. So this starts from 16 to 19 like this. So this is the type of test he has developed. So when you look at the first one, WIPPSI, preschool and primary scale intelligence. So the initial version was in 1967, then revision came in 1989, then third version was developed and released in 2002, and the fourth version released in 2012. And I'm not aware about WPPSI fifth version. Okay, now the scale has 15 subsets. Okay, 15 subsets. In that, some of the sets are core subsets, which will give you verbal score, verbal IQ, performance IQ, and full IQ. That's one core scores. Now there are supplemental subtest, which is a replacement for inappropriate subsets. Some tests may not be appropriate for the participant based on the characters of the participant. So in that case, we need to replace some of the core subsets. So these are when some of the subsets are inappropriate, these supplemental subsets are used. Now we have optional subset, which is not, shouldn't be a replacement, but that will give you extra additional information about the cognitive abilities of the functioning of the participant. So these are the three subsets that he has proposed. So the core, supplemental, and optional. Some of the I was talking about 15 subsets, and some of the subsets are test used in this WIPPSI is block design test. Maybe you may be familiar with that. Then metric reasoning. This is something like SPM. Then bug search. Maybe you can think about the children that they are testing. So bug search, similarities, and animal coding, picture naming. These are some of the test subjects. Animal coding, something like based on the animal features, there will be images similar to that. So they need to identify which shape is appropriate for this particular animal, like that. So this animal coding and picture naming, like that, different subsets. 15 tests were there, and based on this, total intelligence was calculated. Both verbal, performance, and full IQ was calculated. Now coming to the famous one, which is WISC, Wechsler Intelligence Scale for Children. So first version in 1949, then comes revision in 1974, then WISC 3 1991, WISC 4 in 2003, WISC 5. See, 5 has come here, which is 2014. So this has 21 subsets, okay, 15 composite score, and it has 5 primary index scores. These are verbal comprehension index, visual spatial index, fluid reasoning index, working memory index, and processing speed index. See that? So there are different scoring systems. That's what he was in a disagreement with Binet. He was saying that multiple intelligence, a total score of intelligence might not be appropriate. We need to have a multiple perspective about, the characteristics of about the intelligence, and its reflection has to be captured in different ways. He believed that though intelligence is a global element, it has to be captured through different interrelated activities. That's one of the perspective he had. So how do we calculate the full scale of WISC based on 7 of the 10 primary subsets? Okay, there are 10 primary subsets, and 7 of them can be used to calculate full IQ. Okay, so that means there are other subsets, sub-tests also are there other than the primary subsets. So one of the contribution in WISC 5 is ancillary index scores can be calculated. Some of them are quantitative. 5 ancillary index scores are quantitative reasoning index, QRI, the auditory working memory index, AWMI, the non-verbal index, NVI, the general ability index, GAI, and cognitive proficiency index, CPI. So among them, this last three, NVI and GAI and CPI, these three can be derived from the score, the primary subsets, sorry, subtest. And other two, the first two tests are to be derived by the administration of the additional test in the subsets. So subtest. These are called as a secondary test. So there are primary and secondary subtest. After 2014, that means after the publication or the presentation of this WISC-5, two more expanded ancillary index were calculated, proposed. So one is verbal crystallized index, VECI, and expanded fluid intelligence, index, that is EFI. We are getting some kind of theoretical backup here. So this is connected to fluid and crystallized intelligence. So we are going to discuss about another, when you discuss about another intelligence test, Kaufman intelligence test, you will find these things are merging a little bit, Kaufman intelligence test and the Wechsler intelligence test. So in 2014, these ancillary index scores are proposed as a contribution to that. So when you look at the original WIS-5, the first publication, in that you will not find these two. Okay. Now here comes the most famous Wechsler intelligence test, which is WAIS adult intelligence, Wechsler adult intelligence scale test. So the first version in 1955. So this is the revision of Wechsler-Billet intelligence test. That's the original, the first test developed by Wechsler when he was working in that hospital. Now the revision comes in 1981. New norms were created and 6 verbal and 5 information subsets. See that the terms are verbal and information subsets, and the scale gives some kind of scoring pattern, which is verbal IQ, performance IQ, see that, and overall IQ. These are the scores proposed in he has calculated in WAIS revised version 1981. Then comes WAIS 3, which was used for a longer period. It was 7 verbal tests were there. From 6 it became 7, and from 5 6 performance subsets were there. And along with that, along with the usual verbal intelligence, performance intelligence, overall IQ, secondary scores also were proposed, which is verbal comprehension, working memory, perceptual organization, and processing speed. Like that's other test also, other calculation, other scoring indices are also proposed in 1997 version, which is third version. Then come WAIS 4, which is the currently used version. This is 2004 month of May. So in this month the WAIS 4 is used, and it has 10 main subtests, 5 supplemental tests, then 10 core subtests are then used for obtain overall score. Among the all the tests, 10 core subtests are used for the overall score. That's the pattern. So we have 10 main tests, 5 supplemental tests. So these are the core tests, these are supplemental tests. We'll see what are the supplemental and what are this core test. WAIS 5 supposed to be like out by 2024, this year itself. In my knowledge, it has not done it, it has not published it, but the norm creation, everything, the standardization process, everything is over, data collection, everything is over. So we hope this will be announced soon. Now these are the indices that we are talking about. See, the core test. I was talking about core test and main test and the supplementary supplemental test. So these are the core tests for each element. Verbal comprehension index. So these are the things, subtest. Perceptual reasoning index scale. These are the main test, that is core test. Then we have working memory index. Core tests are, subtests are digit span, arithmetic. Then processing speed index scale, which is another core test, another index. We have two core tests here. So together we have 10 core tests, that means main test. Then we have supplemental subtests, which will give you additional information about the person. So this is comprehension, figure weights, picture completion. Now we have letter number sequencing, cancellation, like that. These are the additional supplemental subtests used in Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale. This is the currently used intelligence test. Okay. Now we have an when you talk about additional Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale, there is another version for it, which is it's a shorter version of it basically. So Wechsler abbreviated scale of intelligence, which is published in 2011. It doesn't have all the huge number of subtests. It has actually just 4 subtests, and it derived 4 composite score. It's an abbreviated version, shorter version of the WAIS, in fact. Now, what are the limitations of this Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale? One is those who are criticizing it, they say that it doesn't assess the non-academic skills, which has a very important role in the success and well-being of a person. For example, motivation is not addressed here, creativity is not addressed here, emotional intelligence is not addressed here, and social skills are not addressed here. But I think, is that really a criticism? Because we are looking at intelligence, we are measuring intelligence, this person is measuring intelligence. Should you really look into the other aspect which influence success and well-being? Otherwise he should claim that intelligence is the only criteria that has to be considered for the well-being of the person. I don't think he has made such claims. Anyway, when you look into intelligence, these aspects are not covered. That's what our address. That's what one of the criticism. Now, something near similar criticism, another nearby similar criticism is this test provide relative measure. Obviously, okay, fine, good, it's a relative measure, but does not offer any full view of the person, including abilities, talents, potential. That is another criticism for that. So intelligence relative to each person, that can be calculated, but a full comprehensive view cannot be evaluated in terms of his abilities, talents, and potential. That's another criticism. And about the people with different impairment, for example, visual, auditory, and motor impairment, these tests cannot be utilized properly because people with these impairments cannot perform in some of the performance tests here, so cannot be used properly. So that was one of the, this is a very genuine criticism that that's my personal view. It's one of the very, very, very genuine criticism. Non-English versions are limited, but they are trying their best to develop testing in different languages. So this criticism is not very relevant in the current era, because even in India they have Indian version of the Wechsler test. So that it's in Spanish. Obviously it's in Spanish, and different versions are there. They're trying their best to develop it. Thanks to globalization, they are doing it. Pearson is taking care of these newer versions of it. Now, neurodivergent adults, people with the different differences in terms of neurological differences. So these people tend to show different kind of response in task. So say that the test is not actually people with the different neurological characteristics may perform in different ways. So the theoretically proposed, the idea of intelligence may not be captured properly. So that's one of the another criticism. Seems to be a little more theoretical in this, practical in this nature. Now another criticism, this seems to be very interesting, because especially those who are over the age of 89, see that it is not suitable. Is that really a criticism? A person is above age of 89. and this test is not suitable for them. Obviously, yes. Even I don't think Wechsler is also claiming that this is suitable for very old person, age above age of 89 or 90. So personally, I don't find these scales are these as very major criticism. But otherwise, when you look at the adult intelligence scale developed by, or any other intelligence scale developed by, or sorry, all the three intelligence scale developed by Wechsler, I think these scales are the most frequently used, well known, the most famous test, intelligence test in the field of psychology. So both clinically, even some of the tests like the Wechsler test are used. The recent versions of the tests are used to understand the ADHD or learning disability of the person. Not very research scholars are not very much agreeing to this one, but people, some of the clinicians use this as an indicate to understand whether, like, to screen them, or to really understand whether they have any kind of, like ADHD problems or any learning disability related problems. So see how vibrant the test is. So that's about Wechsler not adult intelligence. That's about Wechsler intelligence scales. So we'll look into the other scales in the other class. Bye.